This week's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/DJ Force X. There are over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Hello and welcome to this week's podcast. It's episode 73. I have Eric Henry with me this week. He is the executive producer of a Star Trek fan film called Pacific 201 that is currently in production. They are looking for backers to help them pay the rent of where their set's at right now. You'll hear about that in the interview. But the link is in the show description, so if you can throw some spare change that way, I'm going to throw it out there now. Please do that. Also, this came from the interview I did with Manu a few episodes ago with his film The Circuit, which is now live on Kickstarter as well. So yeah, they're looking for donations for that, for their pilot episode. So yes, again, check my show notes and I will link that one as well. So if you've got a bit more money, throw it that way, because they're trying to raise, I think, $50,000 right now. They're quite close at the time of this recording. They're about $35,000 in. So yeah, that would be fantastic if you could donate to those. But anyway, as I'm recording this, it's Record Store Day, which is one of my favourite times of the year. Now, a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people like it. I love it. The whole event. I love shopping in independent record stores. Always have. And it gives me an opportunity over here in Florida to visit one of the world's biggest record stores. Banana Music is called. It's in St. Pete in Florida, and they've got a good shop front where they have thousands and thousands of pieces of music, CDs, vinyl, all that kind of good stuff. And they also have a huge warehouse full of vinyl and other musical things as well. But yeah, I had the chance to go there today and pick up some great pieces of vinyl. Got the Dillinger Escape Plan, the Instrumentalist 7-inch, the Paul Schaefer and Bill Murray Happy, what was it? Yeah, Happy Street. Sorry, it was on the tip of my tongue. Those are the two releases. I got one from a few years ago, which was Soul Wax versus Pulp, and I picked up the new Incubus album as well, which is always a treat. But yes, support your local record store is the message on this one. If you have one, go to it, buy a piece of music, because it always helps them. Because Record Store Day is not just one day a year, it's every day for them. So do that. But anyway, not to bore you much longer with I'm going to take you to the interview. So yes, this is Eric, the executive producer of Pacific 201, a Star Trek fan movie. Do check out some of their stuff on YouTube before we get into that. But yes, do that. Check them out on YouTube, and I hope you enjoy this interview. I'd like to welcome to my show this week, I have Eric Henry. He is the executive producer of a Star Trek fan film called Pacific 201. Welcome, Eric.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries, man. So, yeah, obviously I mentioned that in the intro, the film you're currently working on. It is like I said, a Star Trek fan film. So, yeah, tell me first off, tell me a bit about yourself, like where you've come from to this point.
Well, you know, I'm just a passionate Trek fan, and I happen to be from a lineage of photographers and filmmakers, and I've always had access to the means to record and edit movies and stuff like that. I've been making them since I was 6 years old, and I just, you know, there's always in the back of my head that it'd be nice to make my mark on the Star Trek universe, even if it's just, you know, an unofficial one. Yeah. So, you know, once I had but, you know, I thought I'm not going to do it until I have a good idea. I wasn't just going to do it because I like to make excellent work. Yeah. So, once I had a good idea, I just thought, hey, I should do this.
Cool. So, with the Star Trek side of things, obviously there's been a bit in the news recently with fan films and various court cases and stuff like that. How do you bounce around that subject? Because obviously the property is owned by it's CBS, isn't it? Generally, how do you dance around that to obviously make a fan film of the quality you're making? Because I've seen some of the shots that you've put up online, and it's very high quality. It seems to, like you say, you like to do quality work, and it's turning out to look that way. So how does that work? How does that make does it make your life more difficult, or are there ways of sort of dancing around that subject?
Well, before CBS released their, official fan film guidelines, there was this kind of, game that you had to play where you couldn't, be too flagrant, right? But, most fan films didn't really seem to mind, like Star Trek New Voyages and Star Trek Continues were doing basically verbatim replicas of the original series. It didn't really become a problem until Axanar got legal scrutiny. And at that point, Pacific 201 kind of went into lockdown because I didn't even know if there was a future to the fan film community, right? Yeah. I'm like, I'm not going to keep working on this movie if I can never release it. So there was only nominal work being done on it for a few months while the court case raged. But now that we have the guidelines, while there are restrictions to certain elements of the production, it is also freeing in the sense that I know that, at least if CBS stays true to their word, if I follow these guidelines, there's nothing they can do, right? Yeah. So there is an element of freedom there where I'm not nearly as worried as I was once.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because like I said, when I was introduced to your project, I'd heard of through various like outlets that I listen to regarding like fan films, especially Star Trek ones, because there seems to be quite a community doing that. I didn't realize there was a resolution to it in as much as CBS put out guidelines for it, so that's kind of cool. So what are the main things they tell you not to touch? Is it just sort of the main character base, or are there various concepts that you can't tackle?
The guidelines are pretty vague, actually. Basically, the restrictions as far as creativity is concerned are mostly just talent. You can't use actual Star Trek actors in any capacity. So that removes any possibility of recast or like putting the original actors into the same role. Yeah, which is actually something I think New Voyages did with Chekhov for old Chekhov, and Axanar was going to do it with several characters, I think, at least Ambassador Soval from Star Trek Enterprise with the same actor and everything. That's completely forbidden now. But all the other guidelines are mostly just presentation. Like you can't make it longer. You have to make it in 2 15-minute segments. Okay. You cannot have anything that's longer in total than 30 minutes. You can't do sequels. And you can't do like episodes. You can't do prequels. So like you can't have a fan film series anymore. Okay. And it has to be a certain length. But beyond that, there's not really any restrictions. There are some like fundraising restrictions and stuff like that, which we're still well below. Which is actually kind of nice because I was afraid that, I couldn't do any future fundraising, but now with the guidelines, I could put up fundraising again. I just can't offer perks anymore. Okay. So there are some pros and cons to the whole situation.
Cool. Okay. So let's talk about your project, Pacific 201. Give us some information on it. Like, where's it set? How does it fit into the Star Trek universe?
Yeah, well, it's set in the year 2200, so it's 66 years before the original series, season 1, and it's like a little less than 50 years after the events of Star Trek Enterprise. Okay. So roughly halfway between those two series, and it does, however, slightly softly reimagine some of the visual and maybe some of the canon, I guess. It's not a perfect, it's not a perfect representation of what maybe some fans would have expected. I've kind of done some soft retcons to serve the story and stuff like that.
Okay. So, like you said, it's set 2200, and yeah. So the story of the actual the film you're making, what's it following?
Well, it's the maiden voyage of the Starship Pacific, which is kind of this new breed of starship as presented in the universe, where for the past 40 years or so, Starfleet hasn't really been doing the sort of exploration and stuff that we associate with Star Trek. It's been a very strictly military organization. So the Pacific is like they're finally making like a deep space exploratory vessel again.
Okay.
And it has a very specific mission where it's exploring a very strange phenomenon and gets caught up in some stuff.
Okay.
There's Romulans involved. There's natural or stellar phenomenon that kind of increase the drama, and it's a lot of classic Star Trek conundrums,
Yeah.
But I think the specific themes are very relevant to our time, and because there's a lot of balance between like isolationist views versus globalist views, and the role of the military and stuff like this that's important to us.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So like I said, I looked at some of your videos on your YouTube channel, and I must say the quality of the CGI work is amazing. Like watching it, you wouldn't think fan film. You kind of think, full budget like project. If that makes sense. It's of a high quality. And looking at some of the scenes or screen captures you have of some of the actors doing their thing and the costumes and everything, it all seems very, very not take this the wrong way, it seems very professional, because I've seen fan films before and they're kind of very loosely, like not a lot of money went into the prop side of it, whereas this one, the look of it looks fantastic. So how do you achieve that with such a small budget?
Yeah, well, a big part of that is when you think about budgets, movie budgets are as high as they are in a large part due to the fact that everyone is getting paid, right?
Yeah.
So you have literally millions of dollars going into paychecks. With a fan film where I'm not allowed to pay anybody, even if I could,
yeah.
All of the money goes directly into the production. I'm not paying myself. It's all 100% into the production. We're not paying for gas. We're not paying for food. So like, we raised $26,000 on Kickstarter, and then we raised another. Well, actually, the money we raised on IndieGo just goes into rent. So the money we raised on Kickstarter goes 100% into the production. It goes to costumes, it goes to sets, and it goes to equipment as well.
Yeah. And
well over, maybe 70% or maybe half the budget, when all is said and done, is the sets and costumes, which is I really wanted the movie to look good. So I made sure to get good cameras, and I made sure to get good costumes and sets. So we actually decided that we were going to use existing clothing items to create our costumes, so that we didn't have to worry about making stuff from scratch look good, because nobody on our team is a professional costumer or a professional tailor, though we do have some very good talent. So, it's off the shelf modified stuff that really helps with the believability. And we also borrowed some costumes from Tommy Kraft, who did Star Trek Horizon. He has some amazing replicas of the NX style uniforms from Star Trek Enterprise. Yeah. So everything we wanted. Costuming is important, as you said. Like, you can always tell, actors with ill-fitting costumes and stuff like that. And it's really hard to make like the original series costumes actually look good.
Yep.
They look good in the original show because they had good tailors working on the show. So yeah, it was just a major focus of the production. You know, we're not paying for anything besides sets and costumes, basically.
Okay.
So, you know, the CG work, I'm doing that all for free. All the talent behind the camera is all volunteers. So all of the capital goes directly into making the movie look better.
And how long have you been producing this?
Yeah, it depends on the metric you use to judge the time.
Okay.
I've been working on the concept of Pacific 201 since the end of 2013.
Okay.
So it's been, 2013 doesn't really count. So 2014 and 2015 and 2016. So it's been like 3 years since the inception.
Yeah.
But as far as actual production, you know, it was I think September of 2015 where we did our Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So it's been like a year and a half since our Kickstarter. And it's been about half a year since we started when we actually started filming stuff.
Okay.
There was a lot, you know, there was a time in there for several months. I think it was from January 2016 to like June 2016 or May 2016, where the whole lawsuit was happening and we weren't sure about our future, where almost no work happened. So there was almost half a year of time where we had no idea what to do or, you know, how to work. So we're in the thick of things right now.
Okay. So how do you, obviously with the time jumping through like that, how do you keep your kind of your actors ready to come back? Because obviously you can only film so much, and then if you had to stop, then obviously they move on to other projects or other, you know, if they have day jobs, things like that. How is that working for you? Have you got like a solid team around you that kind of as and when can jump in when you're ready, or is it sort of you have to wait for them to kind of become available?
Yeah, it's kind of a mix. Availability with actors is definitely one of the hardest hurdles with this movie. Because as you said, everyone's got day jobs and like it's hard to get confirmations from people because things come up and, you know, you're not paying people. They're not contracted. So there's no obligation. Right. Yeah. So it's a mix. I've got people who are really dedicated, who really like the project and are willing to jump in at a moment's notice. But at the same time, they have lives. Yes. So even if they really would love to jump in, they've got stuff going on. So we do try our best, you know, to ask everybody far in advance, are there weekends you can commit to, you know, so that we know, okay, so this actor, and this actor are free on this weekend, but only this actor and this actor are free on this weekend. And we find what scenes we can shoot at which times, right?
Yeah.
So like, for instance, May 20-something, everybody's free for the whole weekend. Nice. So there's like this massive circle around that weekend where it's like we're going to film as much as we can possibly film, you know, in these, you know, Friday night, Saturday and Sunday, so that, you know, we can take a big weight off our shoulders, stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what are you what sort of date are you looking at for completion? Is there a deadline you've set yourself, or is it just kind of as and when you've kind of got everyone together?
Yeah, as far as finishing like shooting or principal photography, we do have a hard deadline in at the end of August. So summer, so between like the beginning of May and the end of August, that's our heavy shooting window. We've been doing shooting up till now since, you know, January when we finished our set, but availability has been really low, especially because one of our actors is on the younger end of the spectrum and he's in college still. Okay. And when summer hits, he's out of school and we can shoot. So May to the end of August, and the beginning of September, one of our actors is moving to Europe. So that's a hard deadline because we can't get her back after that.
No, it's quite far away. That's where I'm from. So it's kind of I know the jump from here to the States. So
Yeah,
it's certainly a long way to get stuff done. So cool. So with that, obviously you're still running. Are you still running your Indiegogo?
Yes, the Indiegogo is on. It's basically permanently on, and that's to cover rent right now, which is a big deal for us because I tell people when we first did our Kickstarter, I did not include rent in the budget because at the time we had been offered a space to shoot. It was like an abandoned commercial space.
Okay.
That was, good enough for our needs. However, come, I don't know exactly when it happened, but several months afterward, that space was sold out from under us. And I totally understand that. He didn't have any obligation to, give us a space for free, basically.
Yeah.
But it also left us high and dry. So there was a huge search for, availability for spaces and stuff like that. And we finally found one that we could pay $400 a month for, which was a steal, basically. Because a lot of these spaces are, fully decked out, like commercial areas that have got, office space and warehouse space and loading docks and bathrooms and whatever. And they're really expensive. Or you get bare bones garages with absolutely nothing. And they're typically either not big enough or way, huge, and they cost a lot. So it's like, oh, it's 50 cents per square foot, but you have, thousands of square feet and it costs a lot. Mm-hmm. But this one was exactly the size we needed, literally exactly the size we needed. Down to the inch. Nice. We can fit our set in there as designed, which also means that if we want to get to the back of the set, we have to leave the space and walk around to the back door. There's no there's no space in there anymore because it's all set. It's literally wall to wall set, but we have it. But it wasn't in the budget.
Yeah.
So, we've made, I think it's come out to probably like 1,500 now on Indiegogo, or maybe some more that's gone into rent, which has been a huge help. But, as it stands, we can only pay through June, I think.
Okay.
Before it goes into my pockets. So it would be really nice if people, really wanted to help out and help us out with rent on Indiegogo.
Yeah, I'll put the link out there. So I've got a couple more questions for you. These are kind of I ask these questions to everyone that I interview on my show, so I've kind of adapted it for you to a certain degree. So, because my normal sort of interviews are musicians, and I'm kind of moving into more like actors, comedians, producers, kind of more industry, like entertainment industry, rather than just the music industry. So, anyway, right, what are your? Let's do both. What's your 3 top albums? So we're talking music here. So if you can pick them out, if you're a music lover, I didn't ask that question, but if you are, what are your 3 top albums?
I don't know. No? If we're gonna go by like music that pretty much everybody would care about, right?
Okay, got it.
Because I wouldn't be able to talk in terms of album with like, if I was going to talk about like Debussy or something like that, right? And I can't really talk in terms of albums for any musician, really. But, I'm a fan of, like the jazz greats, the Duke Ellington types.
Yeah.
And of course, anybody who likes jazz is going to say that because you kind of have to. And I like, I guess, some of the stuff that normal people are kind of ashamed to say they like ABBA.
Okay.
And stuff like that. Rick Astley.
Yep. We all love Rick Astley. You're fine with that.
So sorry I can't give you albums, but there's
all right.
names.
let's move on to something maybe that you've got something a bit more on. Let's go for your 3. Maybe let's go favorite films.
Favorite films. That's also a hard question, but I've better answers, I guess.
Okay, go for it.
I like films because of I like films. I have favorite films for different reasons, right?
Okay.
So, like, for instance, I really like Hayao Miyazaki's Castle in the Sky.
Oh, yes.
For its own reasons. And then, of course, I have to say, like, I like Star Wars, right, for other reasons. I don't know if I could say 3, though.
No? Okay. That's cool. What is the most bizarre situation you found yourself in doing films?
Doing any sort of film.
Yeah, not just this specific one, but if you've had any other experiences that were, slightly odd, slightly bizarre.
I don't know about bizarre, but there was this time where I was working on a movie in college, and it was for credit. And we had a lot of permissions to shoot in certain places. And we have multiple scenes that are shot in a girls' dormitory at a private college with, gender separated housing. Yeah. So we had, special permissions to shoot with our co-ed crew in a girls' dormitory. And we had a lot of trouble getting audio there, because we couldn't sound control the environment. It was an active dormitory. So we had to wait until things quieted down and stuff like that, because we weren't too interested in doing a lot of recording in the studio, dubbing, that kind of stuff. So we think it's quiet. Mm-hmm. And I'm about to call action, and my sound guy's like, wait. I hear like this wailing sound. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, it's really, really quiet, but I hear like wails coming from far away. And like at that exact moment, a group of girls is coming out of a door like far down the hallway. And we didn't think anything of it. And eventually the noise died down and we started filming. Yeah. Anyway, later I get an email from the resident director for that building, who said that we were calling female residents whales. Oh. Because these girls had heard my sound guy say that he heard whales.
Oh, no.
Talking about a sound that sounded like woo or something. I don't know. Yeah. And I had to like defend myself to this like tribunal, right, where I my team had allegedly been disrespectful, and it was it was solved pretty quickly, but that's a story that we kick around.
That could have turned out a lot different as well. So
yeah.
So what are your hobbies away from filmmaking? Do you do, what do you do to sort of get away from that, or any other passions?
Yeah, I like the thing about filmmaking, and I guess one of the reasons I like it is because it's an intersection of everything I like to do. I like to write, I like to world build, I like art and design, and I like theater and music and all these things that intersect on filmmaking, right?
Yeah.
But I guess if you want to talk about things that are almost completely divorced from those things, like I'm a big fan of Lego. I've been building Lego as an adult for a while now, and I do some more. It's been a while since I really did it seriously, because I've been working on this movie and stuff like that. But there was a time that I went to conventions and I competed and stuff like that. And
one of my friends back in England, actually, he's a builder for Lego.
Oh wow, that's prestigious.
Yeah, he goes to various outlets and puts together those big kind of like decorations you see in the windows of Lego stores and things like that, and toy stores. So
that's a prestigious job, and I've been at conventions where Lego does like some scouting almost, like they look at people's constructions and say, oh wow, this person's really good, and they talk to them. And so like I was at a convention once where somebody got an offer from Lego. It was crazy. But like they come to you,
Yeah, well, this guy, he ran he owned a game shop or a hobby shop. They sell like the Warhammer type stuff and and various board games, tabletop stuff like that. But he always had like a Lego display in the window that he put together himself. And I think from that the representative came out and was like, "Oh, you did that," and it went from there. And he quit that or sold the shop and went off and did that. So
yeah, I mean, it must be really exciting to have a Lego representative approach you, because that's how they do a lot of their hiring. I don't know if that's how they do all of their hiring, but I do know that they find you. You just have to be really good, and then
yeah. Cool. So, finally, where can people reach out to you? Where's the best place to hit up the film and things like that?
Well, definitely Pacific201.com. There's links to the YouTube channel, the IndieGo page. I mean, we have a YouTube channel that I post all the videos on and stuff, and that's where the movie will be eventually. Yeah. And you just search Pacific 201 on YouTube, or you can go to the Pacific201.com and click on the YouTube link. That's really easy. If you want to get in touch with me more as a person, I have my own site, which is echenry.com.
Cool.
And there's a link to my personal YouTube channel. I do YouTube videos every week on Star Wars and Star Trek and sci-fi in general.
Cool.
So those two places.
Excellent. Well, again, Eric, thank you very much for your time. Good luck with the rest of your shoot for this film. I look forward to watching it once it's done. But if anyone wants to go and donate to the cause to help with their rent and things like that, they are on IndieGo. Link will be in the description and every other sort of bio thing that I post up. So again, Eric, thank you very much, and have a great day.
Thank you.